Welcome to Worth Your Time with your hosts from the nationally syndicated Bob and Tom Show, Kristi Lee, and the president and CEO of the Indianapolis Zoo, Dr. Rob Shumaker. Our mission to inform, entertain, and educate with guests from all aspects of life. We guarantee there isn't another podcast that features two hosts with such different backgrounds and discussions with remarkable people doing exceptional things. So let's get started. Here are your hosts, Kristi Lee and Dr. Rob Shumaker.
Kristi Lee, we escaped our podcast studio.
Yes, we did. We are on location.
For a very good reason, and I have still a lot of glitter on me.
Yeah, that's going to be really hard to explain when you get home to your wife.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. I'm here with Kevin Venardos, and you have a circus named after you. What the heck? That is the greatest thing ever. And Manny Acosta.
Yes, sir.
Yes, my dear friend and colleague.
We're going to hear about Manny, and we're going to start with Kevin, who is the ringmaster at Venardos Circus, but not just the ringmaster. I don't know all of your titles. Founder? Fill us in.
Yeah, sure.
Fill us in.
Owner, the guy who's ultimately, when everything goes right, it's because of the team and all of the incredible contributions of a diverse gang from all over the world that work their butts off to make this really extraordinary world get down the road. But if anything goes wrong, it's my fault.
That's right. That's right. So the incredible thing is we are not in the tent, but the unbelievable, beautiful tent is just a few feet behind us.
You can see it through the window of our RV, and
That's right.
sitting in my home right now.
That's it. Still lit for the night. It's gorgeous.
There's some there's lights up there so we can see the tent from a distance. It is its own advertising. But also inside the tent, you can see my sparkly top hats and my daughter's toys and some fruit that's pretty new because I wanted to make it look like I keep good fruit around.
There you go.
How did this all start? We got to start at the beginning.
I grew up in New Jersey mostly, and my father worked in the city and would take us in to see the shows. See Broadway shows. When I was a kid, I have distinct recollections of seeing, I saw Annie on Broadway, I saw Phantom and Les Miserables, and I loved those shows. I thought they were magical, and somehow I wanted to be a part of them. I completely still lacked discipline of any sort. I went to school, I did plays in high school, and I ended up going to what happened to be an undergraduate program for musical theater. There's motorcycles passing.
Yeah.
We're in an RV, so you can't hear anything. So I went to Ithaca College upstate New York, came back to New York. I wanted to be on Broadway, and I had been there for 2 years, pounding the pavement, trying to find work, and I got a job from an open call audition as the ringmaster of the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. I was 22 years old.
Wow.
Whoa.
Which was a total left turn.
Is that surprisingly young for that role?
It is. I think I was among the very youngest ever to hold that role, which is a very theatrical role. You're not really the boss. Right. You're an actor in a gigantic musical. And at the time, there were elephants and tigers and the whole 9 yards of the greatest show on earth. I had an amazing adventure there. I lived on a train. It was the largest privately owned railroad, and it traveled all across America. And I saw national parks, and I saw trailer parks. I saw grand nature, and I saw poverty like you'd never see from 35,000 feet or on an interstate highway. And it was also an extraordinary time. This is between 2000 and 2005. September 11 happened.
Wow.
And I was the ringmaster of the circus. And so in the months and years that follow, everyone has their own unique story at that time. But I recall the following March, 2002, being in Manhattan, going to the garden where the circus would play, and riding an elephant across 34th Street with the NYPD in front and behind and on either side, and thousands of parents with kids on their shoulders, and being in the midst of what was a very positive and unifying kind of joy. It's all it sought to do. And I felt so empowered to be in that position. I know that I had not arrived there really by my own work. I still, at that time, so young, had no concept of how many shoulders I rested on and the gratitude that I well should have had. I don't think I was completely ignorant, but I could not have known. I was just so young. And so that was the starting point. I worked there for 5 years. It was an odyssey, but that led to a couple of other shows, the Big Apple Circus in New York and a show called Vargas in California.
Sure.
Lots of personal stupidity in between also, ups and downs, lots of downs. There was a point in the middle after those gigs where I was actually transforming my life into what it was eventually going to become. And for a time I was homeless, not hopeless completely, but I had this really unique experience or relationship with my father growing up. He actually traveled with me on the train. We built model railroads when I was a little kid. And then when I got to live on a train, it was a dream that he had that could never have come true unless it hadn't been for the circus. So that's something, a magic that I'm always grateful for. But I remember at this low moment, that love that he gave me and thinking, how could I have pissed this all away? And I decided that something inside me decided to I'm going to transform this into a positive story. I didn't know how, and I didn't know exactly what it was, but I started in 2013 by creating a tiny video with borrowed money and friendships, favors, that was a tiny circus musical in a rented tent. And I used that 1 minute and 16-second video to pitch a circus that I did not own yet to anyone who would buy. And eventually it was a fair that bought my first contract, which was a fraction of what they offered, and their bandwidth financial was way less than my giant imagination. But I found a way to make the little circus that could, is what it became. A tiny musical with 6 performers, a number to open the show, a number to close it, and a handful of excellent circus acts. And this became, at first it was a 30-minute format, and eventually with time and a lot of slogging across the country and lots of empty time in between where I was begging and borrowing to get through those times, connected these pieces, and eventually I started to try and sell tickets. In between, the fair dates would be a guaranteed money. And in between, I'd try to sell tickets, which is a whole world unto itself, learning marketing, learning how to sell tickets, and also starting to take responsibility for things like insurance and financing vehicles and so on. And
well,
so
that's the fun part.
Yes. Well, money is a terrible master, but if you can master or recognize that there's a system out there which, if you play by its rules to some degree, you can use it to your advantage. And it took me a long time and a lot of scar tissue to really understand that. But today, not just through my stupid risk-taking, called stupid, that sounds a bad thing to say. I was just risking myself in the beginning. And now this team, have built something that is, this year we're visiting 25 cities, 45 weeks of the course of the year. We are employing currently 35 people. And next year, 2025, we will launch tour number 2, which means an entire other set of this circus, another tent, another set of trucks and generators and all of the original art that needs to be duplicated or created anew will set forth. And there will be 2 Venardos touring units covering 45 venues. And this is so far beyond my wildest dreams. And the story of also what I've just described is actually woven into the show. And I think that like I said, that dark moment, I wanted it to be a story that maybe others could draw something from. And it's my way of doing penance for my stupid moves when I was a kid, to somehow use that to transform it into something that could be a positive inspiration to other people and certainly create jobs. And we have, our children are growing up here. I got 2 little girls that are 3 and 4 now. And my dear friend Manny, who's sitting here, Manny Acosta, he's a Cuban immigrant who's now an American citizen. And we have accomplished some of those dreams together. Our children are growing together. It's an extraordinary odyssey. The main theme and the main discovery is about teamwork. is about that lonely feeling I had when I was homeless. And I had all that inward energy and shame, but said that it's me. How can I help myself? When I started to transform that energy into how can I use my dream to help other people accomplish their dreams, things totally changed. And it unlocked this power, which I am so thrilled and humbled and grateful to have discovered and now be, along with this great team, in the position where we have the power to continue to grow that and touch the lives of a whole lot of people.
Your positivity is unbelievably catchy.
And throughout the whole
said
show.
That, and I
Throughout
said
the whole
that
show.
to Dr. Rob
Oh, yeah.
without ever meeting you
Oh, yeah?
before. During the show, I looked at him and I go, he's the most positive
He did.
person.
Isn't
It
it
was
annoying?
so great.
So it's genuine.
No, it
But
was
thank
so
you.
great.
And you were squealing like a little girl. Through
I
the whole, Which was
was.
awesome. I loved it.
I really
it was
enjoyed
fantastic.
it. And
it
I
was
just-
fantastic.
It is fantastic. I know where all the retired gymnasts work now.
Oh, man.
Oh, this is the highest. Gymnasts have a
Man.
short lifespan.
I
And
know.
they, I think that here also, unlike gymnastics or ballet or some other thing that has a very clearly defined what is good and what is not good.
Right.
At the circus, you can make, if the important goal is to take the people on a journey. And you can use any number of skills and you can arrange it in the way that you think it should be. I love that. Live your circus dream is the hashtag I have on everything. It's like our marketing mantra, and it's also at the heart of the message of the show. So I love seeing people create something that came just out of their brain. Right now we're presenting an amazing trampoline act, and also it's a cradle trampoline act. So there's flyers up in the air that are getting caught. They're bouncing off the trampoline and getting caught by catchers that are up in the air. You saw this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's incredible.
And there was no one that taught them how to do that. They figured it out themselves. They did that. They built that themselves while they were here touring on the show with me.
So you spend, Manny, during your day, you spend working, changing, doing the act
Yes.
constantly?
That's happening every day. We have to figure out how we going to make a new act, because we build a new act every year. And this is part of our life for sure. So we're here since we met Kevin, living our circus dream. This is a place where you can live your circus dream. So
So now you perform one act by yourself, right?
no, that's another guy.
That's Kiko.
Yeah, that's
he has big
Kiko.
muscles, but
Oh, you're the second guy on the tower, on the trampoline. Are you number 2?
Yes,
Got it.
That's me.
he's
And
also
then-
really the troop leader. He's the one that really brings everyone. He'll be shy and say that everyone's contributing, collaborating, but he is extraordinary. Your background. Tell me about your
Yes,
background, where you're
please.
from in Cuba.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Cuban.
Yes.
I'm a Cuban immigrant. I came 11 years ago to the States. I'm a star like when I was 9 years old at gymnastic first. Then at age of 15 years old, I became to the circus school in Cuba, National Circus School. So I went like 4 years practicing at circus school. Then I came to the United States, as I say, 12 years ago. I'm sorry, I'm a
With
little
what show?
nervous.
With what show? Carson and Barnes?
Carson and Barnum was my first circus here in the States, in the United States.
As a gymnast, of course.
As an acrobat.
Acrobat.
As an acrobat.
What act
yes.
were you doing there?
I was doing juggler duo with with acrobats.
So wait, you're also a juggler.
Yeah.
He's an incredible artist. He's an incredible artist. And part of what I think is amazing about him is every year, in the beginning now, we're going out on a 2-year tour now, but in the beginning, and for a long since we've been working together, every year we're making a brand new show. And I needed to lean into the artist to actually come up with something new, or I would have to find a different artist. But because there was such value in us continuing to work together, our families growing together, his ability, it's unique. Not every circus artist have this. Sometimes you're a juggler and that's just all you do.
Right.
But this guy and his wife, Ela and I, who are just fantastic, they basically would spend the time while we were on tour building a completely different act. They would be still doing 8 to 13 shows a week performing and taking care of 2 kids. Wow. And they're working behind the scenes, rehearsing, getting a new act together to be ready to go out when the season begins. Because they want and they love it so much and they want to keep working.
So this is where I get so lost. So wait, now your wife is also in the show?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We're on the bamboo. That
Yeah, I'm
aerial
actually
pole.
the guy in charge of all the glitter and the confetti that you have in your hair right now.
I have some. I
You
have
do have
some
glitter
to
in your
give
hair.
you back. That's right. I'm keeping it. So now she's in the show. What does she do in the show?
She's doing a duo lira at the beginning of the
Yeah.
show,
Right.
first act,
At the beginning,
Right.
and then the final act, the bamboo act with me.
Yeah.
with the glitter. She's the one who
Spins around.
Yeah,
Spins
she's-
around. She spun the glitter all over us. Yes.
Now I know. She's the one who said you want glittery lips too.
Yes, I want those glittery lips. I want glittery red lips. That's so cool.
That's her secret.
Is that her secret?
and she does the face paint.
Does she?
Really?
Oh my gosh. That was the other thing that I was so blown away by. Everybody here, every person I met was so kind and so nice.
So nice.
And we work with 10 people and we don't get along at all. You have 35 people that you travel with all the time, and it just seemed like your operations manager, Douglas,
Yes.
Oh, what
so
a great
kind,
guy.
so sweet. He was
So
telling
sweet
us
to-
all about how you take the tent up and down, and it was just amazing.
This is
to
where our
me.
families live.
Yes.
And the importance, when you work at 95 and you have a house in one place and your workplace is a different location, you can get by living and communicating on a certain level with people. And it can be relatively healthy. It's not necessarily unhealthy. You don't mention all the things that irritate you. Sometimes it would seem that it would be unprofessional even to acknowledge those things. That's your professional life.
Right.
And so you leave at 5 o'clock, you clock out, and you breathe, and then you go home, be with your family. Here, we have those worlds in exactly the same location. So the importance, and this is a lesson I've learned over and over again, and usually the hard way, the importance of acknowledging, I don't want to say confronting, but immediately recognizing if there's an issue going on, that we talk about it, that we address it. In the first measure, finding great people is the number one important responsibility I have as a producer, to take the time to vet great people. But okay, you can only go so far, and people present something in an interview, and then when you get down to the showdown, it might be slightly different who we are. And sometimes that's not been a maliciously hiding something. It's just we discover who we are when we're working in this intense environment. We must address those issues immediately. We must together mutually decide on a satisfactory solution to that issue and a date by which it must be implemented. And if that date comes and that contractor has not implemented that change, that person is no longer here. And that is, I believe, an essential framework for building a first-class team, a real meritocracy. I would never want anyone here to feel anything less than at home, that there is a warm, hearthstone that is here, that they feel welcomed, and that also a great diversity of people, because we're totally different, all of us. Sure. And we do have different thoughts and politics, and yet we, at the end of the day, because we have to deliver the show, we need to make some certain agreements. We're going to live by a certain set of rules. This framework is actually, after all these years, the best way I know how to bring out the best in professionals and people. This is because when you are a high-functioning person, if crap is tolerated around you, it ends up being a disrespect to you, to your art, to your family, to your home. Mm-hmm. And again, it might seem cold, but ultimately, if these rules are more or less enforced, it ends up bringing out the very best. We are competing to have the most efficient in and out with the load in, load out. And by the way, everyone here, including the artists, put up the tent. We all take it down together.
That's what he said.
Literally, we are all in. So, and Manny's an amazing leader in this regard. He's not a person who says, that's an order. He is the one who's always in there by example, showing the way to do things, and with kindness and patience.
And muscle.
He's got some big muscles. He
muscles.
does.
Have
And
good
a lot of discipline. That's the word. That's the secret of the circus. Circus is a lifestyle. Of course, we need to Is there many challenge every day for a circus person? But I think that is what circus is. It's a challenge. But everything is resolved with discipline. That's the first
Not
word.
whipping necessarily. It's a commitment to the promises we've made to each other. So finding great people and then very clear verbiage about what our expectations are. How could I expect to be satisfied or to someone to know whether they are accomplishing the goal if the goal has not been clearly defined to them? And down into every aspect of the circus, every department and SOP. Maybe that sounds like it's soul-crushing, or it's not actually. It's liberating, because we have an SOP, or we have an order of operations for things, but we're also all tasked with keeping our eyes and ears open. How can we improve it? We don't do it this way because I said that. We do it this way because we as a team have worked hard doing it, and we as a team have decided that this is the best way to do things. And if there is a better way we discover, we implement that, and we did talk about it, and we improve it step by step as it goes.
It shows.
I'm
because
so glad
you
to
have
hear.
a first-class operation from the minute I walked up to the ticket booth to the time that I went to get popcorn to everyone was just wonderful.
So the whole time, I totally agree. The whole time you were both talking about, the thought keeps going through my mind that however many times you do your act a day, one or two, however many times, literally your wife's safety is on you.
That's correct.
Obviously, if there's a mistake, that could be very dangerous. And if, again, we'll say it a bunch of times, if you haven't come to the show, go to their website,
Please.
Find where they are, do yourself a favor and come to the show, and go ahead and buy your tickets for more than one night, because you're going to want to come back. That's just the truth. That's the truth. So, but what's that like? I know that you're a professional, but what's that like in your relationship with your wife? That's got to be hard. Is it? Or no, just because you're a professional?
It's a little bit hard, but everything's possible when you live in the circus. Everything is possible. It's not impossible for us.
I have a question before you start. Did you meet in the circus, or did you?
Yes, at the circus school in Cuba.
Oh,
Long time
okay.
ago.
So you've been together
As kids.
quite a while.
Yes.
You met as kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
15 years old.
Oh, wow.
Man, all right.
Yeah.
So you've been taking care of each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to get a framework of how you meet somebody, like in the circus.
Is that typical that do most relationships for circus performers involve other circus performers because the lifestyle is so unique?
We're working together. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're doing this long term, it's not impossible to have a long term relationship. But yeah, I would say this is a small show. It's a big dream. But I mean, I've been on shows where there's a couple hundred people. It's a little bit different and maybe a little bit easier to find a broader range of people. You do end up sometimes spending very close time with people that you might not have hung out with if you were just living a towny life. But I think that also there's a level of there's magic. And if someone really wants that life, you can make it. You make this work here.
Right. I didn't mean to interrupt your question. I apologize, but
No, as I'm saying, it's not easy for sure. I'm with my wife 24/7. Every time we work together, we live together. We need to it's everything together. But for me, it's okay. I love this life.
It's fantastic.
This is what I want for my life.
It's fantastic.
that is
I don't have any
great.
complaint about it. Not yet.
But I think it's worth talking about the show a little bit. If you haven't seen it, go to the Venardos website, and they're all around the country. And you tour until when this year?
We'll be on the road 45 weeks. We'll go from here to, up to Columbus, near Columbus, then down to Asheville and Dawsonville, Lynchburg, Virginia.
All
we
on
get
the
down to
website.
Winter
Just check
Garden,
the
Florida.
website because
Yeah, go
people
to the
listen
website.
from all
Huntsville,
over.
Alabama. Yeah.
And so-
VenardosCircus.com or, excuse me, liveyourscircusdream.com, because people have a hard time spelling Venardos.
Grab your tickets and go.
Explain what they're going to see when they come to the circus, your circus.
This circus.
Most people who come to see our show have never seen a circus before. This is if you think in your mind all those images when someone says circus to you. You think of like Dumbo, or you think of some coloring book image of that little... this particular show, it's 100% humans, just people making it happen, doing extraordinary things. This red and white striped tent from Italy, an exquisite, if I may say so, a little tent. That
It looks like what you'd find in a storybook.
Yes,
It really
it's
does.
what
does.
my imagination conjured when this dream began to be born. And then being inside the tent, I don't know what people's experiences. Sometimes those who have been in a circus you might think of a big drafty arena, or even a tent that seats many thousands. This is 550 people, so it is an intimate experience. It is, you feel like you are part of the show. And when the time comes, there's this magical, madcap musical number that opens the thing, and you're whisked off on an adventure that is in a world that is so overwhelmingly digital. This is a very analog experience. There's music. There is extraordinary, pure performances with acts of strength and skill, acrobatics, aerialists, lots of laughs. I want people to laugh. And I love that in some small way, with this extraordinary group of largely immigrants who have all come here and forded incredible challenges to be here in the States and to make the circus be real for you and your families. I am so honored and so proud to be a part of this team and to be sharing that message all across America, especially now, but for always.
And this show, I know that at the beginning of the show, you were encouraging people to take photos and videos to post on social media, which I did because I knew I was going to be promoting this podcast. But I want to tell you, I noticed no one was on their phone.
Not once.
No one
Not once.
was on their phone.
To me, that's the ultimate compliment.
That is
Sweet.
the ultimate compliment.
Not
I go
once.
to concerts all the time. Rob does
absolutely,
too.
yeah.
And in fact, I was just at one in Charleston, South Carolina over the weekend, and 3 people right in front of me the whole time on their phone. And I'm like, just enjoy the show.
To me, that's the greatest compliment.
I agree.
I don't care what it is. Remarkable performers, like if people can forget about the phone in their pocket,
Yes.
wow, you're doing something great.
So you are doing
Thanks.
It's true.
great work.
But you've used one term that I kept using in my head. To me, this is a really intimate experience.
Definitely.
It's personal, intimate. I love that. It's small in the very best way. But the other thing that goes through my mind, and I hope you take it as a compliment, to me no, I do.
Right on.
To me, this is all very old-timey, very old school.
Exactly what I was
It is old school.
In the
Analog.
best way ever. And I don't mean nostalgic. I mean, it's just pure.
I think nostalgia is actually a great word. Nostalgia is an emotion or a feeling for an older time or a simpler time or a time
Fair enough, yeah.
gone by.
Fair enough.
Our world is densely packed with digital content and coming at you. Energy kind of attacks you sometimes, feels overwhelming. And you step inside this tent and you're transported back to a time that still lives and breathes today if we just let it. If we just be present to witness it. And being in that space just naturally just causes you to look at things in a different way. You really got to come and experience it. It is the work of a whole lot of dreamers. That it exists at all is maybe a miracle. But I think it's actually a testament that someone who was broken at one point didn't let their spirit get broken, and found a bunch of other people who had been chasing their own kind of dream. And together we made something that I think is really special. And I hope that it reminds people that they can and they must do that thing that they want to do with all their heart, but maybe they think is impossible. I hope that they see these people doing impossible things and that they are reminded that if they see that vision and make a plan and start taking those steps, that there's nothing stopping them from doing it for themselves either.
I'll tell you what's so refreshing to me is to marvel at other people. And Manny, you're a great example.
Yeah.
People were just silent watching you. It's the talent and the discipline and the ability. Everyone's just marveling at that. We don't get the chance to do that enough.
No.
That's incredible.
And the fact
for
that
your wife too. Tell your wife I said for her too.
She's amazing.
And the fact that it's one ring. You have one ring. You don't have three going on.
So focused.
So you have, exactly, you're focused. Exactly is the
love
word. Yeah, because I grew up with the three wings. I probably saw you as a ringmaster, actually, back in the day, because my kids were little, 2002 to 2006 in that area. So I'm sure we did. But it's just like everything else now. It's, no attention span, no attention span. No, you've got everybody's attention. They're just riveted. And that, my friend, is a gift these days.
It's incredible.
It's really a gift. It's wonderful.
So you use that tagline, "Live in your circus dream."
Live your circus dream. We have a U.S. pat off. We have the hashtag is our trademark, actually.
And you also, on the back of at least one of your trucks, I saw it says, "Follow me to the circus of the future."
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Follow us to the future of the American circus.
Sorry, future of the American circus. What does that mean for you? What's the future of the American? Like you say, everybody has maybe a stereotyped idea of the circus.
Yeah.
And this is not.
No, I think there's some old school elements. I think there's a lot of contemporary elements. I think that the issue with people lumping, because actually we don't have any animals in the circus. I think that's the future. And that's just as simple as that. No offense to my wonderful colleagues who have come before me, on whose shoulders I rest. I know that you work with animals too. So, and I love, and I feel we must participate in a positive way in their existence, or they will cease to exist. So people still have a connotation with some negative vibe in that department. And so all I can do is, because I'll never solve the argument. There are people who feel one way or the other. But eventually, if I just focus on the children and on good times for those who are adults, and I continue to exist in this country, and hopefully I create systems that can go on after I shake off my mortal coil. The thing is that all things that are old will be replaced by new things again. And the American circus, like America itself, has continuously, generationally reinvented itself by necessity. There have been calamities and wars and famines or shortages or arguments, and ultimately we want to get down the road. At the circus, we never say goodbye, actually. We say, see you down the road. And that is the direction that we're heading. And I'm going there with my friends. And maybe there's going to be haters along the way. People don't see it. But I believe that if you make an emotional connection with a community of people, and you cross those miles and deal with all the challenges to get back there again the next year, and you serve them something that is excellent, you keep those happy memories alive, they will reward you with wanting to relive those memories again and share them with their family, with their children. I believe in that basic concept so much that when we're, have a half-empty house here or there. I've been through so many challenges. A half-empty house today, it seems like nothing. The pandemic seemed like nothing. It's just a phase. I was looking at my watch. I was just thinking it'll be over. It's just a waiting game. That's all. Honestly, and I believe in us. I believe in the power of community, that if you invest love, you lavish love upon a community, and you show up for them year after year, that they don't forget that.
I'm going to say this carefully.
Go ahead.
Are the most talented, best circus performers coming from outside of the United States now?
I think that America has a lot of amazing circus schools.
Manny, you're saying no.
I think there's great performers everywhere. Yeah.
I think people... Right on.
Here, we'll do it again. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying I think there is a great performers everywhere around the world. No matter if million of great performers, American performers that I know, and from everywhere.
How do you find them?
The hardest part.
No, but I think that it ties in people who have. This is a country of immigrants. America is a country of immigrants. Everything, I believe, in my view, we're all of us, unless you're a native Indian, a Native American, then you're an immigrant. People who have had to confront or deal with tremendous challenges in their lives, such challenges that they're willing to cross an ocean to go to another completely unknown place with the promise of being able to follow their dream. That spirit and that willingness to work hard, that gratitude for things that folks who are born here are perhaps might be more likely to take for granted and forget, which is maybe part of that is I think that there's earlier on in our history, the exchange rate and finding talent at a good rate might have been easier. And one of the reasons why there may people from abroad, and also just that there's opportunity in the States. But I think that there's amazing circuses all over the world. I think that you can find extraordinary performers here in the States. But the culture of circus in America is different than Europe. There's less appreciation for the arts, frankly, in the States. I mean, there's tremendous arts scene in America. Don't get me wrong, but it's a different kind of support. It's supported by governments and also by the people, much more culturally in common. In Europe, for example, the circus. And then there's generations of people who have done circus as a lifestyle in Europe versus here, where the conditions and quality versus what we have striven for, which is excellent pay. We have a full-time teacher who's coming on here to be here to provide health care or childcare, and also to help kids who are doing their K through 12 program online, children, the way that we communicate with each other, like I was telling you, set expectations, that we have a workplace where respect exists. This, I don't think you could say universally has existed in the circus in America. Or
This is part of Follow Me to the future of the circus.
Because
There you go.
performers and people,
Perfect.
smart people, I want to work with smart people. I want to expect excellence from people. We can't be welcoming or be willing to tolerate mediocrity, which means on the flip side, we got to expect to provide an excellent place for people to work, where they're respected, where they have resources, where they're well paid, where we have a 45-week tour. And so I think that there are wonderful talents everywhere, all over. Culturally, I'm grateful to be surrounded by an amazing group of people, and together we're creating a culture where great artists from both America and abroad are attracted to want to be a part of what we're doing here.
So they come to you, is what you're saying a lot. Do you get a lot
I've
of people?
always got my eyes open.
Ah.
If I see someone who's amazing and I don't even have a position open, I'll make a position. I'll create a job to get engaged with them now, because the next production and the next year is right around the corner, and be thinking about how can we utilize this talent and this person.
So where would you see that person?
Yeah.
It could be any number of places.
Do you
it could-
scout other
a street
circuses?
no poaching.
Do you have
you know,
non-competes?
It's hard
Or
to
is it
say.
like
that-
a gentleman's
Does such a
agreement?
thing even hold any water anymore?
Not
We can
really.
establish agreements, sir. We can establish in words and with intention that this is something that I hope you understand, and my expectation, we want to respect each other. And I wish very much to respect other circuses.
Sure.
To the point where I have a couple of different producer friends where we're sharing our tour routes together, so that we're not stepping on each
Super
other's
smart.
that's nice.
Yeah, super
which
smart.
I think is a wise move.
Right.
Very
Why
smart.
not work together?
Yeah.
There's more people and more business that could fill every one of our tents 1,000 times over and still have billions of people waiting in line. That old school notion of, if someone else has cheese, that means there's less cheese for me. The thing is that the more circus there is, the more success there is, the more success for me, more success for everybody. When the community is touched and knows that there is excellent circus out there happening, they'll want more of it. And not just from me. I can only be in a certain place a certain number of times. There are other wonderful producers out there.
Do kids just run away and go to the circus still?
I hope so.
That was always,
We're counting on it.
you know, Mom, I'm just going to run away and work in the circus.
I hope to do something to change that, at least the negative connotation with that.
That's
it's
not negative.
A bunch
That would
of
be
ne'er-do-wells.
awesome.
Yeah, but it comes down to what you think your parents. When I left for the circus the first time to go to Ringling, actually, my father said, tongue in cheek, "Don't let any of them touch you." and he said it tongue in cheek. But the
Well,
thing
is
is,
he like a carny? Is that
that's
what
the
he
thing.
was thinking?
Carnival. And I say I have my carnival brethren out there. They're
Yeah,
wonderful
I
people
know.
who work on traveling shows, and
Right.
it's not the nature of rides. It's that I think certain producers and the difficulty with perhaps making ends meet means that lowest common denominator people are often employed. They're never given direction or expectations. They are treated poorly, have poor conditions. That's not every carnival. That's nothing to do with the concept of a traveling show. It's just the nature of, I don't know. It's not everyone. Just like everyone says to me, you abuse your animal. Not everyone. Some people say to me, they write comments online, you abuse your animals. I'm never going to support you. They didn't even stop to look that we don't even have any animals.
You're a people-run circus.
So obviously, we must not make assumptions. It doesn't follow that everyone, just because you're white or black or Republican or Democrat or a circus with animals or not, whatever, that you are an abusive or a bad thing. Let us instead look each other in the eye and actually get to know one another. Make a decision on your own, by all means, but let's not jump to conclusions about that. So I think that Carnival has had, in the old school thinking, that this sort of sense of don't let them touch you, which is false and BS. You folks who run carnivals out there, you know that it's an amazing life and there's a lot of wonderful people out there. The circus is... Did you know that during the Second World War, when they were rationing rubber and other such things, that the Ringling Brothers Circus actually worked together with the U.S. Army to teach them how to run a tight ship, how to organize and move large amounts of cargo, how to improve their system that was going to impact the way goods and services moved elsewhere. The circus had actually extraordinary... I know, if we're running over, I have no...
Oh, no, you're good.
It's all right. Anyways, circus, when it's done right, and this place, for being small, it's still a very complicated, has a lot of small parts. And so the way that we pack things, Manny's actually, in addition to one of 1,000 things that he does, he works a forklift and he actually helps pack our semi-trailer that has, it's like a jigsaw of boxes, but everything has its place, doesn't it?
It's like a Tetris.
Like
It's
a
a
Tetris.
Tetris.
Tetris game? Yeah, sure.
But when it's organized... And when there's an established order for things, and we follow that formula, we load this whole thing out in 4 hours, something like
four and a half hours.
4.5 hours.
What?
So every
Really?
little chair, every little piece of art,
From being
exactly the way it is right now, to be
in the
packed in a
truck.
box,
Yes.
4.5
ready to
hours.
go. Yes,
4.5 hours.
That's remarkable.
and that is only because, and that's actually after years of falling on our ass. Pardon me, and not knowing where's the screw or the hammer. I have no idea what the thing is. Building boxes with wheels and all of the 1,000 different sort of iterations of trying to pack it in neatly in a way that we can communicate to others. So I think the circus is an incredible place where order, efficiency, and when those things are implemented with a passionate group of people, it is absolutely astounding what you can accomplish.
We've seen it I firsthand. Your passion and your love for this is just intoxicating. I am overwhelmed.
Yeah. I'd come back tomorrow night and watch it all over. It's
I may.
fantastic. So
You're welcome to.
So what's the most enduring thing about the circus? Because it's been hundreds of years, thousands of years, people going to circuses. What's that one thing that makes it irresistible?
Manny, what do you think? I'll answer later, but what do you think, baby? What's the magic?
The magic is teamwork. It's when people came and see 20 people or 35 people in this case working together, thinking different, but working together to make the magic. The magic is made by hands, by us.
By smiles.
It is by hand. That's an important part.
Yeah.
And I I'm grateful that I get to be on the tour and see it unfold up and down and up and down. That's how we get really good at it. But the folks who are here, who live in these communities, it is here and then it's gone. Its impermanence is, I think, part of its ephemeral magic, that we transform a part of their community that they see every day when they're passing in the car, and then the work of a few people build this world which transforms that place, and then it's gone. And that memory can live in your imagination forever. And I really hope that it continues to do that. I love that we get to do that all across the country. And I don't know in my lifetime that if that is my greatest accomplishment, I feel like I will go off to wherever I head from here a very happy man.
I'll tell you what, it's magic.
It is magic.
This circus is absolute magic, and you know it from the second you step in. I'll say it again. If go to the Venardos website, find them wherever they're close to you. You said you've got another unit going out.
We do.
When?
It'll start in February, so we'll be in 45 different cities in 2025. So we'll be coming somewhere near wherever you are.
Great.
From California to Florida to Northeast to the Pacific Northwest, everywhere in between.
Yeah, find it and get
Check
your
it out.
tickets.
Yes.
You will have a wonderful time.
Thank you for sharing your magic with
so
us.
terrific.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you,
Really.
Manny.
Sharing.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank
you
you.
guys are the best.
Thanks, Manny.
You've been listening to Worth Your Time with Dr. Rob Shumaker and Kristi Lee. If you like what you hear, please give a review wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to tell your friends. Word of mouth is the best compliment. Thanks to our producers, Chris Spangle of Leaders and Legends, LLC. You can reach him at leadersandlegends.net. Also, thanks to Sophie Ritz. I'm Christopher Geisen. Thanks for joining us.